Water. No type of life could exist without it. The sea itself is a matrix for most of the life on this planet. And energy. Every living thing has its own energy. Its life force, if you will. And when water and energy combine, they give us the most important component there is for sustaining life on Earth. Take the spring. Here you'll find the perfect combination of water and energy. You know, if all of us could bathe every day in a spring like this and drink of its water, we should all be far more healthy. Why? Because of the life force that's in this water. It's vital force. It's the same force that's found in the great springs of the world. Saratoga in New York, Wiesbaden in Germany, and of course, Bath in England. According to English legend, Bladude, the father of Shakespeare's unfortunate King Lear, founded Bath in 863 BC when he was cured of disease by bathing in its steaming swamps. Several centuries later, the Romans built a great spa at Bath, famous throughout the known world. In the 1700s, many of the baths were rebuilt after centuries of neglect by those eager to partake of their curative properties. No one can deny the many cures that have taken place by bathing in such springs. And yet efforts to duplicate these waters by adding minerals and salts to distilled water have always failed. Why? Because they can't duplicate the vital force that's in those waters. It's the same vital force that's in our own bodies. And what is that vital force called? The ancient Chinese called it Qi. For thousands of years, practitioners of Chinese medicine have been aware of this wonderful life-sustaining force, which they call Qi. Other Eastern civilizations were aware of this energy also, such as those in India and Japan. But our knowledge of the ancient Qi comes to us primarily through the Chinese. They believe that Qi is a universal force which inhabits all things, and that the health and well-being of people, of plants, of animals, of the universe itself is dependent upon a natural harmony contained within the concept of Qi. Now, whether you subscribe to the beliefs of ancient Chinese metaphysics or not, one thing is certain: our own medical science has come to the realization that there is a measurable life force within all living things. But instead of calling it Qi, they call it bioelectricity. Bioelectricity, that's the electric current generated by living tissue. It's a property of all living things. If you have an electrocardiogram, an MRI, or even a lie detector test, your body's bioelectricity is being measured. Certain diseases are diagnosed and even treated by bioelectric measurement. Now you may say, hey, this is all very interesting, but what does it have to do with this Aqua Qi machine I'm using now? Well, let's take the name itself, Aqua Qi. Aqua, Latin for water, Qi, the Chinese word for the life force we've been talking about. And what I'd like to do right now is show you how the Aqua Qi works and why it helps us so much. Come on. I'd like you to meet a friend of mine, Lisa. She's a new Aqua Qi user who has some of the same questions that most new users have. I imagine some of her questions have run through your mind too. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, Ron. I'm ready for class.
The Aqua Qi is a machine that can make a world of difference in your health, in your energy level, in your life. Now, those are big claims, and talk is cheap. So the first question we need to answer is, does Aqua Qi really work? And if so, how? But before we go any further, it's important that you understand a little something about the human body. As most of you know, the human body comprises billions of cells, and each one of those cells is a small factory, making life possible in everything from field mice to sequoias. And what makes a factory run? Electricity. The same force that powers the great factories of the world powers your tiny cells. And on the outside of the walls of each cell, there is a low voltage charge. This is the bioelectricity we referred to earlier. And bioelectricity involves the flux of ion gradients that is governed by the cell membrane's transport system.
Hey, wait a minute. You've lost me already. Would you like to try that again?
Well, we don't want to confuse anybody, but this is an important concept. You see, an ion is simply a particle at the atomic level that has an electrical charge. It can be an atom, a cluster of atoms, or a single electron. The important thing to remember is that the particle has an electrical charge. Are you with me?
So far.
All right. And the term gradient means that it has a graded or moving value. Now, what this means is that the cell is surrounded by an energy potential that allows it to do its job for your body.
You mean like a battery?
Yes, more or less. It's an electrochemical potential, stored energy that can be converted to other forms. And when we breathe, when we absorb nourishment, when we think, when we talk, we are dependent upon that energy. In plants, it manifests itself in the form of photosynthesis. In fact, there's nothing that any living thing can do that isn't dependent upon that energy.
All right, let me see if I have this right so far. Each cell in my body has its own little battery, and it uses the energy from that battery to do its work, whatever that may be. And if for some reason my cells don't have that energy, I'm dead.
That's it.
Okay, now I know that the Aqua has something to do with electricity, and I know that it helps my cells by allowing a safe amount of electricity to enter my body. But if the cells already have their own little battery packs, why do they need more charge?
Well, because sometimes that electrical charge becomes depleted.
When we get older, I suppose.
It can be because of age, or because of illness or injury. And when the cells can no longer draw so much power, they can no longer work so efficiently as they once did. And so...
I no longer work as efficiently as I once did.
Right.
But wouldn't it be difficult to change the charge of a cell? They're so tiny.
Well, for a long time that was the case.
What changed things?
Some very smart people. Okay. The key lay in creating conditions that allowed cells to absorb energy on their own.
How?
Well, remember we talked about ions.
Yes.
What the Aqua does is create an ion bath, an ion soup, if you like. But don't worry, it's completely safe. We're not putting electricity from the wall into the water. That's the miracle of Aqua. It creates in the water the type of charge that your cells will accept safely. Remember, the electricity in your wall is a flow of electrons. The bioelectricity in your body is a flow of ions.
So it's like a battery charger.
Sort of.
But I use battery chargers every day for my phone, for my camera, and the charger always touches the battery.
Right.
But this isn't touching my cells, not inside my body. So how does it work?
Well, Lisa, there's a principle in electricity that the higher charge always flows to the lower, if both are like charges.
Okay.
Look, the Aqua is to you like a battery charger is to your car. The greater electrical charge of the charger flows to the lesser charge of the battery until they're balanced. You don't have to do anything to make it happen other than to create the proper conditions. And what the Aqua does is create a higher charge than the one that's around your cell walls using the medium of water.
And so because my cells have a lower charge, they automatically take the higher charge.
That's right.
That is really neat.
It really is.
But suppose my cells get too much charge.
They can't. Your body regulates the amount that they can take. The charge absorption rate of the cells is determined by the body.
All right, I am really starting to get this now. The Aqua creates the same type of charge in the water that my cells have, and because the charge of my cells is lower, they take the charge from the water.
Right.
And I suppose that the lower my cell's charge is, the faster it absorbs the electricity.
No.
No.
If a cell has a much lower charge than it should, it's probably because it's unhealthy or damaged in some way. It's just like the battery in your car. If one of its cells is damaged, it can't take a charge the way it should.
So
the healthier your cells are, the better they can accept the charge.
Great. You're just like the banks. They won't loan you money unless you don't need it. So if my cells aren't healthy, the Aqua is not going to do me any good. And if my cells are healthy, I don't need it.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't say any of that.
But you said...
I said that the unhealthy cells took the charge at a lesser rate than the healthy cells. But they still take a charge. And that charge, little by little, begins to build up and give them the energy they need to repair themselves. And the healthier they become, the more charge they can take.
And so there is hope.
Of course.
But why charge healthy cells?
To keep them healthy. At some point in all of us, our cell charge is going to degenerate unless it's continually refreshed.
Are you saying that this thing can make us live longer?
Live healthier. There's something I'd like to show you and share with our viewers. Have you ever left a tomato out a little too long on your counter?
Never. Well, once maybe.
I think we all know what happens, at least under normal circumstances. Watch as we run this time-lapse video. Here are 2 tomatoes such as you might find in any produce area of your grocery. The one on the left is just as it came from the store. However, the one on the right has been given a 30-minute treatment with the Aqua. The tomato on the left rots. The one on the right maintains its original form.
No way.
I'm afraid so.
Let me see that again.
All right, watch.
That's incredible.
It really is.
No wonder I've been noticing a difference, you know, in my strength and my endurance.
And without any pills or drugs or pain.
That's right. What was it you told me about when I first got my machine? That it
Uses healing electromagnetic frequencies to rebalance and amplify the body's bioelectric field.
You know, when you first told me that, I mean, I'll be honest, it sounded good, but it did not really mean that much to me. But now...
But now you're beginning to see.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the whole point of what we're doing here. We want people to understand how the Aqua works and why it is so important.
I do have one more question.
Okay.
Well, what makes the water look as if it comes from the Black Lagoon?
Yeah, everybody wonders about that at first.
Are those impurities that come from my body?
No, not really. For the most part, the discoloration is caused by an excess of ionic charge working on certain of the impurities in the water. Have you ever noticed that as you've been using your Aqua, the water is less discolored?
Well, now that you mention it, yes.
That's because your cells are accepting more of the charge, so there's less of it left active in the water. But it's important to remember that the water quality plays a role in that too. Different types of water will manifest different degrees of discoloration.
Is all that stuff harmful?
No, in no way, and it doesn't enter your body, so relax.
But did it come out of my feet?
No, it's just the mineral concentration and waste product impurities that were already in the water before you put the Aqua module into it. All tap water does this. It's absolutely normal.
All right, I have one more question. Why my feet?
Why not?
No, really.
Well, the feet just happen to be an easy part of the body for most people to keep in the water for 30 minutes.
So it could just as easily have been my hands?
Yes, and for certain indications, that's recommended. You could even use your head if you're really good at holding your breath.
I'll just use my feet. But let me ask you this. Could I use my whole body, say, in a bathtub?
Certainly, and a number of people have chosen to treat in that way. But make no mistake, the feet provide ample skin area for an effective treatment.
Well, you got me in the mood to do my next treatment.
Well, why not do it right now?
All right, I will.
Now let's go over a few more points. As we said earlier, the human body is composed of billions of cells, and each one of those cells has a job to do for your health and well-being. The Aqua treatment allows us to restore and maintain a healthy charge of electricity around the wall of each cell. It does this by converting the AC current from your house to a DC current that creates a charge in the water which is compatible with the charge around your cells. If we look at the water's electrical pattern on an oscilloscope at this point, we will see that it is very active with a constantly varying voltage. Now, if you were to place a part of your body in the water, say your hand, you would notice a change in the electrical pattern. If you removed your hand, the earlier pattern would resume. Then, if I were to place my hand in the same water, the pattern would again change, but it would be my bioelectric signature, not yours. If we were to use a transistor analogy, the hand placed in the water actually becomes the source of the frequency that varies the resistance in the module that's in the water, or the transistor in our analogy. And the Aqua is the emitter, or power source. Thus, with every new user, the frequency in the water is different, tailor-made to the specific user. And that is why two people should never use the machine at the same time. As your cells accept the water's enhancing change, one of the remarkable effects first noticed is the separation of blood cells, which tend to travel in clumps when we're in an unhealthier state. With the entire surface exposed, they work far more efficiently in our arteries and veins. Any way you look at it, it's a remarkable process. Now let's see how Lisa's doing, shall we? She looks very relaxed, doesn't she? We hope you found this presentation interesting, and that we've been able to answer some of your questions about Aqua and the many benefits it has for your body. Remember that each of the billions of cells in your body is a living thing, requiring its own energy to maintain life. And that when you look at yourself in the mirror, in a way, you're looking at a great colony of living creatures, working 24 hours a day to keep you healthy. So keeping them healthy and energized is not only smart, it's vital. And one of the most important things you can do toward that end is to intervene in that inevitable process of cell energy depletion. There's an old saying that goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And in the words of Steve Walker, the driving force behind Aqua, early intervention can actually be prevention. Thanks again for your purchase, and we hope you enjoy your Aqua for many years to come.